Good morning, and welcome to another installment of Good Morning KU on this warm spring morning. We have a plethora of exciting segments to cover today, including which college basketball teams were crowned champions, a coaching absence in Lexington, the beginning of MLB baseball, and golfers vying for the fabled green jacket. Let's hit the deck running. Head to the intro. Let's start off our show with some pretty big college basketball news. A legendary coach has chosen to embark across the SEC plains to Arkansas. Will, tell us about the new addition to the Razorbacks.
Thanks, Prescott. Head Kentucky basketball coach John Calipari has left for Arkansas on Tuesday after 15 years with the Wildcats. During his tenure, Calipari led Kentucky to 4 Final Fours and 1 NCAA tournament in 2012. Kentucky made the NCAA tournament this year, but lost to 14 seed Oakland in the first round. Now, reports of Coach Calipari's move to Arkansas began appearing late on Sunday. ESPN reporter Pete Thamel wrote a post on X that the deal would happen by the end of Monday for Arkansas. On Monday, Calipari was asked by local TV reporter Lee K. Howard about the situation surrounding the Arkansas head coach vacancy.
Hey, Coach, you got anything you want to say to your fans or anything? Anything right now? You want to say anything to your fans right now?
I'm good. Come on, Paul.
If you're wondering why it's so noisy, Calipari was walking his dog on Richmond Road, which is a major thoroughfare through Lexington, Kentucky. Not exactly a quiet place for a dog walk. On Tuesday, Calipari uploaded a personal video to X confirming his departure from Kentucky.
The last few weeks, we've come to realize that this program probably needs to hear another voice, that the university as a whole has to have another voice giving guidance about this program that they hear. And the fans need to hear another voice.
So now the question is, who will Kentucky hire as their next coach? Well, this morning, Kentucky fans have their answer. It's not Baylor coach Scott Grew or UConn's Dan Hurley. Instead, it's BYU's Mark Pope. Coach Pope was a target due to his connection to the 1996 Kentucky team, which won a championship. Under his tenure, BYU has made the NCAA tournament 3 times and has 4 21 seasons. I personally find Mark to be an interesting hire for Kentucky. Details are still coming out, so stay tuned for further information. Back to you, Prescott.
The Hall of Fame coach hasn't won a national championship since 2012. Is Arkansas the destination where he hoists another trophy? Let's shift gears a little bit. Grab your scorecard and find your caddy. It's time to head out to the links. Maya, what's going on at the sublime greens of the Masters?
I am so excited to be talking about one of the biggest tournaments in sports that's happening this weekend. I know what you're all thinking. March Madness was just last weekend. What could be bigger than that? I'll tell you what's bigger. The Masters tournament that's happening down in Augusta, Georgia. The first round of competition started yesterday and will continue through Sunday. This golf tournament started back in 1934 and is a 72-hole course played over 4 days. If you're going to spend 4 days golfing, this course is truly a beautiful place to do that. I hope you all have your fantasy teams made and ready to go, because I sure do. Mine's winning, by the way. Let's talk about who I think will be some of the standout players this year. We have to start with who's repping the green jacket from last year, which is Jon Rahm. Last year, he took the tournament victory with a 12-under total, and he shot 3 under in round 4. He's 29 years old and from Spain. He's sitting at 11 career wins and is 3rd ranked overall. We can't talk about him without mentioning the controversy he has stirred up since he switched from PGA to LIV. The switch has him suspended from all PGA Tour tournaments, but he is definitely one to be following closely during this weekend. Tiger Woods will also be out on the green this weekend, but in my personal opinion, I don't think this is his year. He's currently sitting 959th in the overall world ranking. Despite his low ranked, he's still an exceptional golfer, and I would never count him out completely. When asked about this weekend, he said,
if everything comes together, I think I can get one more. You want me to describe that any more than that, or we're good?
The player I am personally most interested to see this year has to be Scottie Scheffler. He is ranked #1 in the world, and he has held that ranking for over 80 weeks. He already has 2 wins under his belt in 2024, which is something that not a lot of his competition can say. Brooks Koepka is ranked 33rd in the overall world ranking. He has 9 career wins, and I think he has the potential to do quite well in this competition. His past few years, he has had some strong wins and competed at a high level. I'd be sure to also be watching out for Dustin Johnson and Patrick Reed this weekend, as they also might have some strong gameplay. That's all I have for the Masters tournament, but make sure to tune in because some could say it might be a major party.
That's a good one, Maya. The best part about the Masters is that it's a long weekend full of golf. We'll head to a break, but when we return, we'll be with Luke for some MLB early season takeaways.
Good morning! Welcome to Slow Drip, everybody!
Welcome back from the break. Let's talk about what has happened so far in the first 2 weeks of the MLB season and what teams have started off hot versus cold. The Yankees, Guardians, and Royals are on top of the American League, with Kansas City having a huge turnaround so far from their embarrassing record last year. The Royals are off to their best start since the 2021 season and have really stepped up their rotation and bullpen, which can be key for winning close games. Although it is only the start of the season, they just destroyed the Astros in their series and are set on returning to the postseason for the first time since 2015 and look to stay consistent throughout. Heading over to the National League, we have the Dodgers, Pirates, and Brewers on top. The Dodgers are no surprise as they have dumped billions into players over this offseason, and while money might be able to buy players, it cannot buy playoff wins. And this is by far the best roster they have had in recent years, though, so you can expect them to pick up a lot of wins and possibly make a deep run in the postseason instead of choking in the first few rounds like the last few years. On the other end, the White Sox, Marlins, and Rockies have a combined record of 7-31 together, while the Marlins were in the playoffs just last season. The Rockies haven't made the playoffs since 2018, with the White Sox making it in 2021 most recently. The Rockies also had a great first impression to their season after losing 16-1 to the Diamondbacks in the first game. And all things said, the season really did just start, so there will be teams that turn their record around and teams that start to fall into a drought. It will no doubt be exciting to see who rises and falls through the season, leading into what should be another great postseason.
That is an intriguing start to the season, Luke. Katie and Eli, what other takeaways do you have?
Thanks, Prescott. Like Ryan has said, there's been a lot going on early in the MLB season so far, and Katie and I are here to pick who thinks going to win today. We got 3 games from this evening's slate. We're going to start with Milwaukee, the Brewers in Baltimore against the Orioles. Katie, who do you like for this one?
I'm going with the Brew Crew. Freddie Peralta is on the bump for the Brewers. He's one of the best power pitchers in all of baseball. Had 210 strikeouts last season. The Brewers do have a new manager in Pat Murphy, but they've gotten off to a great start so far. They're 8-3. They have an absolutely loaded lineup with, Christian Yelich, William Contreras. They're 5-1 on the road, so even though they're traveling to take on the Orioles. I like the Brewers. Eli, what are your thoughts on Jackson Holliday coming up, number 1 prospect in baseball, and just the Orioles in general?
Yeah, for this game, I'm going to pick Baltimore. I'm going to go with the O's. Jackson Holliday's off to not a great start. He's 0 for 8 so far. So I expect him to pick it up, number 1 prospect. I expect him recently to really get it going the next few games or so. So I'll be watching him for sure. I'm excited to see what he can do in the Major League level. But, I think Tyler Wells on the mound for Baltimore against Freddie Peralta, I think he's going to have a bounce-back game. So far, he's 0 for 1, 4.76 ERA, 1.24 WHIP. So he's just kind of laying in the weeds a little bit. But I expect him to pick it up, have a solid bounce-back game in Baltimore, Camden Yards. Great environment as always. I like the O's here. Then we're going to switch over to Ohio, and we're going to go with the Yankees at Cleveland against the Guardians. Katie, who do you think about this game?
I like the Guardians. Carlos Carrasco is a veteran pitcher, had some tough years with the Mets, but I think he's had some great years in Cleveland, and I think hopefully he can bounce back to, kind of his previous form. He has 10 strikeouts and 8 innings pitched so far this season, which I think is really promising to kind of see his strikeout numbers rebound. And Steven Kwan is one of my favorite players to watch in all of baseball. He's an electric hitter with, elite plate discipline who's tapping into more power this season with 3 bombs. The Guardians are having a great year. They're top the AL Central right now with a 9-3 record. And, the Yankees, they have a deep roster. They're always super good year in, year out. But I like the Guardians this matchup, Eli.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Yanks. I get it's in Cleveland, but Clark Schmidt on the mound for the boys in the pinstripes. It's a young arm versus an old arm. Schmidt's 24 years old. Carrasco, I think he's in his mid to late 30s. I don't remember the exact age number, but with this Yankees lineup that's so deep, you got Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Anthony Rizzo, Gleyber Torres, Alex Verdugo, Anthony Volpe. It's so deep that I just don't think Carrasco has the longevity anymore at his age. He's lost a lot of velocity, a lot of spin rate. I just don't expect him to be able to go that long against this Yankees lineup that has so much star power. So I like the Yanks here. I like Clark Schmidt to have a solid game against the Guardians lineup that has a big fall off after the top of it. But yeah, I definitely like the Yankees here. Third and final game we're gonna go over is the Pittsburgh Pirates in Philadelphia against the Phillies. Katie, who do you like for this one?
I'm going to take the Pirates on the road, maybe a little bit of an upset pick, but Bailey Falter is going to take the mound for the Pirates. Has had an up-and-down start to this season, but had one really great outing versus the Orioles, gave up just 1 hit in 6 innings, so, he can pitch. I really like the Pirates lineup. They're dynamic deep. They get on base a lot. Connor Joe, Ke'Bryan Hayes, they're really fun to watch play. They do a great job working pitchers and putting balls in play. I'm all in on the Buccos train right now. They're 9-4 to open the season, and I'm going to take the Pirates on the road, Eli.
Yeah, the Pirates have been definitely surprising and have had a great start to the season. As a Cub fan, you don't love to see it. I think the Pirates and the Cubs, it's going to be a really good race as we get down the stretch at the end of the year, as we continue to get more into the season in the NL Central. But for tonight's game in Philadelphia, I'm going to take the Phillies. Like Bailey Falter, like you said, has been an inconspicuous start so far. He's got a 5.4 ERA. He had 1 good start against the Orioles, but 2 not-so-great starts. Christopher Sanchez on the mound for the Phillies. He's been solid, 4.2 ERA. I like him to have a solid night tonight against Pittsburgh. I want to talk about Brandon Marsh for a second, though, for the Phillies. He is on fire, hitting .333 for average with 4 bombs and 9 RBIs. Marsh has, like 10, 15 homers usually every year, and he's already got 4 in, 10 games or so. So I really, really like the way he's playing. I think the Phillies continue their momentum, and Brandon Marsh stays hot, and they get the win tonight at home against the Pirates.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it all shakes out. Thanks for having me on the show today, Eli, and yeah.
Yeah, of course, been a pleasure. That's all we're gonna have for Pick'em for Major League Baseball, and we're gonna go to a short break, and then Press S gonna be back, tell you what's happening next.
National champions deserve a clean campus. Don't wait for other Jayhawks to pick up your mess. Keep the University of Kansas clean.
Welcome back from the break. We've been covering March Madness pretty heavy the past few weeks, but now with the tournament over, basketball coverage will obviously be obsolete. However, Ulicia is here to give us a final recap of what happened in both the men's and women's tournaments.
Thanks, Prescott. Though March Madness is over, we still have to recognize the UConn Huskies, who won the men's title, and the South Carolina Gamecocks that swept through the women's season. I'm giving you the final recap of this year's March Madness tournament. Jumping straight into the men's tournament, many people were immediately broken due to a very surprising first-round loss for third-seed Kentucky. Freshman Rob Dillingham just recently announced he will be entering the 2024 NBA draft, where he is projected to be a top 10 pick. Possibly the most surprising turnout for this year's tournament was North Carolina State upsetting Jared McCain and Duke, making it to the Final Four for the first time since 1983. NC State's DJ Burns won the ACC tournament MVP as well as averaging 20 points per game. The men's final was Donovan Clingan and UConn facing the 7-4 AP Player of the Year, Zach Edey and Purdue. UConn held the Boilers to only one shot made behind the arc. This UConn blowout against Zach Edey and Purdue resulted in a back-to-back title for UConn. After the tournament, Clingan is projected to be a top 10 pick and Edey is projected to be in the top 20. Now on to what I was most excited to watch, which was the women's tournament. LSU senior Angel Reese and 2023 national champion has declared for the WNBA draft after an upset from Iowa in the Final Four. Reese is projected to be a top 10 pick. Moving to the Pac-12 conference, USC freshman Juju Watkins has secured her fame this year by breaking the freshman scoring record during the Elite Eight in the March Madness tournament. Unfortunately, Juju was not able to lead her team past the Elite Eight as UConn beat USC 80-73. Another standout player, Paige Beckers, is someone to look out for this next year. The future super senior still has 2 years of eligibility left due to a medical redshirt from a torn ACL in 2022, which I'm sure UConn fans are excited about. I'm sure Beckers is all eager to get back on the court as the Huskies ended their season in this year's Final Four against Iowa, which was ESPN's most watched basketball game in network history. One of 2024's most watched athletes, Caitlin Clark, is projected to be the #1 pick to the Indiana Fever in this year's WNBA draft. Throughout the season, she became the women's NCAA career scoring leader, a record previously held by Las Vegas Aces guard Kelsey Plum. In this year's tournament, she averaged 32 points per game and led her team to the finals. Unfortunately, Caitlin Clark and her team weren't able to beat Camila Cardoza in South Carolina, who took home the 2024 March Madness title and completed an undefeated season. Cardoza, who moved to the U.S. from Brazil when she was 15, picked up her second collegiate March Madness title with South Carolina and is projected to be a top 5 pick in this year's WNBA draft.
Thanks, Ulicia. This horned NFC team adorns the color purple and just lost their starting quarterback to the Atlanta Falcons. Addie has a draft preview for the Minnesota Vikings and our own Kansas City Chiefs.
With the NFL season quickly approaching, all eyes are on the players who look to get their names called in the 2024 NFL Draft. The draft is set to take place in Detroit, Michigan, April 25th through the 27th, and for me, who is an avid Chiefs and Vikings fan, this time of the year is all the more exciting as the draft is directly over my birthday. Growing up in the Minnesota area, my time as a sports fan has been filled with nothing but disappointment. The Chiefs and the Vikings actually have a long history of playing each other that dates back to the 4th Super Bowl meeting. In 1970, the Chiefs won their first Super Bowl, beating the Vikings 23-7. Now both teams look to capitalize on their respective draft picks in the upcoming weeks. The Vikings had a below-average season just a year ago, finishing 7-10. They currently hold the number 11 overall pick and the 23rd overall pick via Houston. Since the departure of veteran quarterback Kirk Cousins to Atlanta, a lot of speculation has been stirring on what the Vikings are going to do with their first 2 round picks that they hold. In the offseason, the Vikings signed QB Sam Darnold to a one-year deal and still look to maintain connections with second-year QB Jaren Hall. However, adding a talented rookie QB to an already impressive Vikings roster could be a great possibility. The Vikings have held private workouts with Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, and J.J. McCarthy, while holding a private meeting with Drake May. However, McCarthy seems to be the front-runner for the Vikings. Whether or not the Vikings front office trades up to grab a higher-rated QB or hold off and see if Penix Jr. could fall to the number 11 pick, it looks as if this is a night of decision. Moving on to the Chiefs, it goes without saying that the Chiefs have been one of the most dominant NFL teams in recent years, winning 3 out of the last 5 Super Bowls. With the Chiefs winning it all again in 2024, they hold the last pick in the first round this year. In the offseason, they traded star cornerback L'Jarius Sneed to the Tennessee Titans in exchange for a 2025 third-round pick and a swap of 7th rounders. Clemson cornerback Nate Wiggins, who ran the second fastest 40-yard dash time of any player at the NFL Scouting Combine, could be a good choice here. It's predicted that 15 wide receivers go within the first 2 rounds, and the Chiefs also may look to heighten their offense with fresh talent at the wide receiver position. Wide receiver Xavier Leggett from South Carolina made a huge leap in the 2023 season, putting up 1,255 receiving yards with 7 touchdowns. He had just 167 yards in the entire 2022 season. He then ran an eye-popping 4.39-second 40-yard dash at the Combine, solidifying himself among a top 10 prospect at his position. Whatever route the Chiefs do decide to take, they'll be in good standing coming off yet another Super Bowl victory. I'm excited to see which star players can make a quick impact and ultimately who will claim their respective category Rookie of the Year awards.
Thanks, Addie. That does it for the sports section of the show. Great work from all of our anchors. We're going to go to break, but when we return, the show will end with our expert weatherman, Sam.
Welcome back to Good Morning KU Sports, and unfortunately today our tower cam is not working, but nothing that a simple ground shot cannot fix here. As we look to the north now from just outside Stouffer Flint Hall, you can see not a cloud in the sky as we are sitting now at 56 degrees and wind out of the northwest right now. And temperatures will rise up to the mid-70s this afternoon, and sunny skies will continue throughout. Looking at the satellite view here, once again, there is a large low-pressure system up in the northeast, bringing all sorts of cloud cover and precipitation up to that area. While back here in Lawrence, we have absolutely nothing up in the sky with those clear skies as we saw from that picture shot. Going hour by hour today, we'll be at 62 at 12 p.m., warm up to 69 by 3, up a little bit more to 71 by 6 before dropping back down into the upper 50s for this evening, with the wind making a shift from being out of the northwest to the southeast as the day goes on today. Now we'll top out around 72 for a high today, and then it is time to definitely break out the shorts and short sleeves as we are going to warm up tremendously for the weekend. Tomorrow, the winds will pick up out of the south, bringing in a whole bunch of warm air, as we'll be at 86 for a high for your Saturday. Before Sunday, we warm up a bit more, getting up to 88 with that sunshine continuing throughout. Now, I do want to mention there is another severe weather risk for Monday, and the bullseye for this looks to be down in west central Oklahoma. The Storm Prediction Center said that this could be a potentially significant severe weather event for that bullseye area. So if you're going to be down in Oklahoma for any reason on Monday, definitely be aware for the chance of potentially dangerous severe weather. Now here in Lawrence, we are in the 15% risk, or we don't have as much of a high of a chance for severe weather as Oklahoma does. However, conditions will still be favorable for the development of severe weather, and if a storm does develop, it could definitely become strong to severe in our area Monday afternoon into the evening. Now moving on to sports weather, the Masters down in Augusta. For today, it'll be a high of 72, but those winds will be a factor. There'll be sustained winds at 20 miles an hour this afternoon, which will definitely impact play. Now the winds will calm down for tomorrow and Sunday. This will be at 77 for a high tomorrow down in Augusta, and then up to a nice and toasty 86 for Sunday, a nice way to end out play. Now, the baseball team will be hosting Pacific for a weekend series, as it'll be more sunshine and highs 70 today and temperatures at 82 for game time Saturday and Sunday, before heading to Omaha on Tuesday for a 5 p.m. game, and there they have a good chance of showers throughout that entire event. Softball team will be in Lubbock, Texas, taking on Texas Tech for a weekend series before heading down to Springfield on Wednesday to take on Missouri State. Yet again, more sunshine, a very common trend, with temperatures right around 80 for all of those events. In terms of other sports weather, here we go, another massive list once again. Women's tennis, rowing, and men's golf all looks favorable for their action this weekend. Women's tennis also looks favorable for the Big 12 tournament next weekend down in Stillwater, Oklahoma. However, women's golf in Hockley, Texas, for the Big 12 tournament next weekend, will have a slight chance of thunderstorms for all 3 days of that event. But the track and field Kansas relays next weekend looks quite favorable with highs around 60. Now going on to the 7-day forecast. We'll be at 72 for a high today before tomorrow the winds pick up, bringing in a whole bunch of warm air down from the south as we get up to 86. And then Sunday, warm up to 88. Monday, we have the chance for possible strong to severe storms in the afternoon and evening hours. The winds will be strong again with a high around 85. And then Tuesday, a good chance for some of the residual showers from the system to linger around, as it'll be a little bit cooler at 78 for a high with strong winds once again. And then Wednesday, the sunshine returns. We break back up above 80 degrees again. Before Thursday, we drop off a bit down towards 71 with a small chance of showers throughout. What a fun time of year this is, isn't it, Prescott?
Indeed, Sam. May is fast approaching, and we only have a few more shows remaining on the itinerary. Stay here for Playmakers at noon, and tune back in next week for even more sports news. Thanks for watching, and be back here at 10 a.m. next Friday for another installment. Rock Chalk!